everybody. You got David Dude with American Metal Magazine today, and we're talking to a maker and a shaker here. I've got Zach, and could you say that last name for me?
Moonshine.
Moonshine. I wasn't sure if that was it or if it had like some French sort of adaptation, like moonshine or something like that. But hey, man.
No, man. Like the drink.
Yeah, all right. That's what I'm thinking, man. That's what I'm thinking. Well, I'm a Tennessee boy, man. I lived in Nashville for many years, man, and actually knew Johnny Cash, man. His daughter worked for me for a little while. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, I used to drive between Nashville, and you're in Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that drive between Nashville and Jackson, man, is such a long, straight drive. I almost fell asleep. I was thinking about that, thinking about where you're at today. So anyway, man, tell me a little bit about the radio and the show, man. We're really interested. Again, this is for artists out there that are trying to make it. So we're talking with Zach here to help us kind of understand what it is that artists need to do to make it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Zach.
Well, I'm Zach Moonshine, the owner of Metal Devastation Radio. I'm also part owner with my wife of Tennessee Metal Devastation Music Fest, and I also run Metal Devastation PR, and I'm also a musician from a one-man band called Brutal Death Fuck, and
wow,
among other things.
Hey man, I didn't realize you had all those going, man. When I first reached out to you, that's awesome, man. So we got to try to cover all those things. So I guess let's talk about the first thing, man. Is the radio show? What's going on with your radio show? What are you trying to achieve with the show, there, Zach?
Just having a good time, man. I'm just a metalhead. I like listening to music, and I like talking to people and interacting with the community and just being a part of it. It's pretty much the whole thing. It's nothing grand or anything. Not trying to take over the world or anything like that, or become rich or anything. It's just
right on. Yeah, man, it's just I guess at some point, what got you into this, Zach? What started you to go down the road of starting your own radio show, man?
Well, it was my music. Back in, I think it was like 2008, somewhere around that time was when I was doing my one-man band, and I had started uploading music onto a MySpace page back when that was the thing. And all of a sudden, I started getting all these bites and emails and stuff from people that were doing podcasts and internet radio, and I didn't even know what that was at the time. But they were like, "Hey, we want to play your music on our show, and can we do an interview?" And I'm like, "Whoa, really? Wow, what is this?" So I started, I started communicating with those people and started sending them my music and hanging out in their chat rooms and getting to know different people in the industry on that end. And one thing led to another, and before I knew it, one of them asked me if I'd do a radio show on their station, and I was like, sure, why the hell not, And so I got the software and learned the tricks of the trade and started doing it, and then,
well, that's awesome. So what happened? Then you started to put the show out at different online radio stations? How did that develop?
No, it was just on that one. It was just on one radio station. It was called Metalhead Radio. I had a show on there on Friday nights or Friday evenings, and then the people that were running that thing were I don't know. They were doing some things that weren't really I wasn't really jiving with too much, and it just felt it was kind of they were taking away the fun from it.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think around 2012, 2013, I left there, and I wasn't doing anything for a minute, and I was kind of depressed about it. My wife was like, why don't we just start our own thing? Like you love doing that, and it can't be that hard. Let's figure it out. And so she helped me look up everything and figure out licensing and how to build a website and just how to do everything yourself and just build it up. And so we did it, and I started doing, that's when Metal Devastation Radio was born. And then, so, you know, I remember back in those days we had like 1 or 2 listeners at, you know, at the beginning, you know, there was,
right.
It was really hard to get people to come in, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like what you think, you know. You think that when you launch something like that, everybody's going to be excited, you know, like they're all clapping you on the back, but it's like, it's hard to bring people in. So
it is. Yeah.
After a while, after a few months, she was like, you know, what you really need to do is start doing interviews. That'll bring people in. And I was like, fuck. And I didn't really, it kind of, it made me nervous to feel like, because at the time, you know, I'm like, how do I talk to these people? You know, what am I going to say? What am I going to ask? And so I tested it out with one of my buddies in a band called Rock and Roll Villain Society. I've known those guys for a long time, so I was like, let me call you guys up. We'll do an interview and you know, put it on the radio show. And so we did that. Next thing I know after that, promoters and record labels coming out of the woodwork. They're in my inbox, in my email. Hey, can you interview this band? Can you know, like, I'm like, whoa. And my next interview after that was Eric Wagner from Trouble. He was just launching his band at the time, Blackfinger.
Oh, wow!
And that was amazing. It was really good conversation with that guy. Of course, probably smoked 1 million cigarettes during the whole thing. I was incredibly nervous.
Was you nervous,
man? I got through it. And then,
yeah, man. I don't know. I haven't really had a big band that I've interviewed, man. But I can appreciate being nervous about that, man. That would be pretty challenging, man, to keep cool, you know. But you know, that's the great thing about this, is getting out and interviewing and talking to these people. And there's some great people out there already. We've talked to a lot of other DJs like yourself and a lot of artists. And what AMM is about is just trying to connect places like your show and PR companies like yours with the artists, because we found like we needed some place where everybody could go and kind of cross over there. And the one thing I wanted to ask, I guess you play independent metal artists on your show, right? Is that part of your show, correct?
Yeah. I'll play just about anything. It doesn't matter to me.
Right on.
You know, if somebody hits me up and they want to get played on there, or they come into the chat room and they request it, or if they send me an email, you know, I'll try to get them on there. I mean, obviously that's one of the hardest things about my position in this, is that everybody wants to get on there. You know, like once you pass a certain threshold, man, it's just like, you know, but, and I've only got so much time, so I can't put everybody on there, but
yes,
I try to put on as many as I can. You know, we do like a Battle of the Bands competition, let them get votes on polls and stuff like that to try to help them out getting on there, and do all kinds of little things like that. But
man, I just think that's great, man, and that you know, you got people like you out there that are really trying to help the music scene, you know, to bring some of these independent bands out there, because there's so much great music out there, man. It's unbelievable. Like when I started to do this, I really I was overwhelmed really by all of the other bands out there and how great they were. And I'm like you, man. I'm in a band too called Witchkill, and we got, you know, we're doing pretty good. We got some local traction. We play out and stuff like that. And that was the motivator for me to start AMM, because I just didn't know where to go and who to talk to, or how to even approach somebody like you to get my music played. And I think the challenge is just, you said it a minute ago, it's really hard for you to take the time to review everybody's music that gets sent in, and to give everybody, you know, a fair look at. I imagine that's probably one of the most challenging things about what you do.
Oh yeah. I mean, we probably get 200 to 300 emails a day from record labels, promoters, other independent bands. You know, like it's just, and you know, there's only, like I said, you know, there's only so much I can even go through and listen to, versus how much I can even put onto my show or on the station. But we try to get through it, you know, and see who. It doesn't even sometimes it doesn't even necessarily matter, like the quality, like it doesn't. It's not always gauged as far as like the best band out of the bunch. You know, sometimes it's just who's the most eager and who's the most driven. Like. You know, who communicates with you the most. That's one of the things I think that sticks out the most in this industry now, in today's world, it's because there's so much and so many bands. You know, a lot of them sound very similar, and a lot of them are great. A lot of them ain't, but the ones that I think really stick out are the ones that just have that extra drive, that are ready to put themselves out there and communicate and try to intermingle with people like us, you know,
Right.
and make themselves available, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's really it, you know, and I've heard that before and talking to some of the other DJs, you know, it's totally about how you present yourself. And, you know, if you're willing to do the work, because, you know, we want you guys, you artists out there, to share us on your social links and work with us. You know, if you can't do that, then you know, then we can't help you, I guess is what I'm saying. And I think you find that to be true, maybe. You've got to be eager enough to get out there and promote yourself and carry yourself the right way and be involved, you know, if you're going to be in the industry. But let me ask you now, you've got a lot of bands that you worked with. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Zach. I hope you don't mind. What are some of the favorite bands that you've worked with that you just thought, you know, man, these guys stand out right here? I know that puts you on the spot, and I'll give you just a second, but I really like asking this question because I think that there are bands that just seem to be really fantastic. So what's some of those bands that you've worked with that you think really stand out?
Man, there's so many, and yeah, that's a really hard thing to say. You know, it changes all the time. It just depends on my mood.
Yeah.
For, you know, like how I'm feeling whatever particular day. But I mean, some of the bands that stick out that are really fun to work with, Summoner Circle, those guys from Knoxville, man, those guys are hilarious, man.
Awesome.
Every time I've interviewed them, they're funny, and they put on a great show. They played at our festival. They're going to play this year for the third time. The Red Mountain from Mississippi, they're a really good band. I think they're up and coming. You know, they have a different sound where they kind of remind me of like a mix of like Corrosion and Conformity with Acid Bath, with, I don't know, they've got the southern groove thing going on, and
it's
not death metal, you know, so maybe some people that like the heavier stuff might not dig it, but at the same time, it's got that harder edge that, I don't know, I like.
It's just got that groove, right? And you know, that's what I'm talking about. It's like there's just some bands, right, that just communicate it better, or something, or maybe they just found how to communicate it. That they have that groove that just comes through. You know, I found that to be true down here in our local scene. You know, and in different areas there seems to be bands that just stand out like that. So it's been really cool to find those guys. In fact, I'll end up looking for those guys and reaching out to them and seeing if they're interested in talking with us as well. We like to do that with anybody that you can recommend, actually, Zach, any artist. So tell me a little bit about this music festival thing that you've mentioned a couple of times. What's that about? Is that a yearly thing that happens there?
Yeah. I guess so. At this point, you know, we're about to do our third year, so I guess it is.
It is
a yearly thing now. It's one of those things. I think it started out as a joke in the chat room on our radio station. You know, many years ago, we've talked about it so many times with. Because you have different bands and stuff that'll come into the chat room, and you're talking in there with the other DJs and stuff, and everybody. We're all, you know, it's a little group of people, it's a little community, and we're always like, you know, looking at all these other festivals that you see advertised with all these big names and stuff, and we're always talking to the little guys, you know. It's like, hey man, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own festival where it's just like all underground, just us, man, you know, like.
Right.
We are, you know, like we make the little guys the big stars on this thing and make them have the spotlight. And we used to talk about that all the time for years and years and years, and then finally just got the itch to do it and tried it out, and it was a huge success.
Man, that's
so
great.
We did it again.
Yeah, all right.
And, yeah.
Man,
Cool.
that's fantastic, man. You know, and I think that there is this resurgence really of the music scene. You know, not just metal, but rock and roll and that type of music, man. That people are really digging it. You know, they're getting back out and they're enjoying shows like that, man. So I think that's great. And when is that held again? I don't know if you covered that. When is that happening? Your next
October 5th.
October 5th. Well, man, that is coming up real soon. Do you got a
Yeah.
full venue now, man? Are you still looking for bands to play? Because we've got some friends that
Oh,
might be
no,
interested. Yeah, you all booked up.
yeah. It's all booked up. We had it booked up back in I think March.
Man, that is fabulous. Well, make sure that you send me links and everything, Zach, and we'll put that advertise that on the site for you because I just think that's great,
Yeah.
man. These festivals are what it's all about. There's one coming up down here, the Land Music Festival, that we're involved with, and it's these things where people come out and just have a great time, man, and show your support for these bands. It's a beautiful thing, yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Zach. I wanted to ask you, what is your footprint right now? How many people? I don't know if you know, or maybe you can guess. How many people do you think tune into your show or listen to the radio now? What kind of footprint do you have?
Yeah, I check that every Saturday morning after my show.
I guess you do have your hand on that pulse.
Yeah. No, I post screenshots of it on Facebook because it's awesome. I'm very proud of that. Anywhere between 10,000 to sometimes 30-something thousand people tune in on that.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible.
Like I said, it used to be like one or two, three people back in the old days, and so it grew. It's really cool to see.
Man, and that's just wonderful, man. That there's people out there, there's companies out there like yours that are truly, man, helping the artist. And I think it's a big part of the influences that we had, man, growing up. And I wanted to ask you, Zach, what are some of those influences that you had growing up, man? Some famous bands that you think really shaped what you think about the metal scene?
Well, I'll tell you, and this will give you an idea of my age. When I was 8 years old, I went to my first concert. My babysitter took me. It was Bon Jovi on the Slippery When Wet tour with Cinderella opening up at the Capitol Center in Maryland.
Wow.
That was awesome. I had to stand on the top of the seat to see. But, at the time, that was just mind-blowing. And then I think somewhere around that time, I was going over to my cousin's house, and he got sick and tired of hearing me running around screaming the lyrics to, shot through the heart. He's like, man, you need to listen to some real stuff, So he brings me over to the record player. He pulls out this record.
He's going to straighten you out, right?
Number of the Beast. He puts it on the thing, puts my headphones on, and starts playing it, and I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm just looking at the cover, and after that, it was over with.
It was on. Yeah, man.
Never ending.
That never did. Man, everybody's got a story like that, right, Zach? You've talked to a lot of people, right? You probably asked that question. I think that's great because everybody has a story. For me, it was my brothers, man. They put on Pink Floyd, The Wall, and I just was like, what is this? Never heard anything like that, man. And that really shaped me, man. It's still with me, I think, man, through all these years. Man. Yeah, I just can't seem to get away with it. Hey, I wanted to ask you something else. How are you dealing with monetization with these bands, man? Have you? I saw that you had some merchandise you're selling. I applaud that effort. What are you doing that you think can help that whole issue? Because we talked about the streaming platforms are just not really bringing the money. There's a real money gap, I guess. What have you seen in that arena? Have you seen anything that helps?
Oh yeah. The bands that I see that are having the most success are just dominating it on Bandcamp. Man, they're selling their own merch on Bandcamp. They're selling their music on Bandcamp, and they're just. That's the ticket right there. Spotify, YouTube, and Apple and stuff like that. That's good for it's good to have, because everybody gets in their vehicle now and that kind of shit. It just automatically comes on.
Right.
So it's good to have presence on there, but you're not going to make any money from that. That's just good for advertising, in my opinion.
Right
But
on.
as far as like making money,
Yeah.
Bandcamp is definitely the way to go.
You know, man, and I don't have a Bandcamp. Admittedly, I don't have a Bandcamp account. I did for a long time, and I just, I had Reverb Nation, and I just got nowhere with that. I don't know if anybody else has felt that way, but so I think I'm gonna switch my flag to Bandcamp, maybe, because I've heard that more and more, and that's really surprising.
Yeah.
That you are getting, that people are making sales, because it's been so hard, to make sales in music. But I think that's great. So, that just goes to show you guys out there, you get with a guy like Zach here, you get your music out there, you put it into the right places, and you can do this. You can make it work. So let me ask you this too, Zach, because this is something else that's kind of come up lately. And what is your take on the AI music thing? What do you think of that?
I mean, it is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that it's. I'm not like freaked out like it's gonna be like Terminators coming to. But I don't know. It's just. What do you mean, like exactly?
Well, has anybody
AI
tried to pass music to you, and it was like an AI thing? Because that happened to a couple other people that I know of. Somebody sent in tracks, and it was just an AI track, and how that it just affects music in general, man. In the future, are people going to listen to radio, or are they just going to tell their AI, "Hey, I'm going to sing a song and play it back the way I like it"?
I did see a promoter. I can't remember which one it was. Sent me something, and they clearly stated that this was an AI project, and it had like these I don't know, like some kind of cartoonish looking picture of the band. They look like ogres or something, or like orcs from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird.
Yeah,
I checked it out just out of curiosity, and it sounded generic, like I figured it would. And, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think that you can ever come close to the human being aspect, man, in music, right? I don't think so.
I think it's just a fad. It's one of those fad things. It's gonna, it'll have its place in the world, but I don't think that it's ever gonna take over.
Right.
I don't think it's ever gonna, there's, and Blabbermouth was making a post, I think, about this the other day, and I kind of got on there and commented and joked around a little bit. I said, it's kind of like a testament to how generic some of the mainstream music has become if a computer can easily imitate it like that. But there's no way AI is ever going to be able to fully produce something that, like the real stuff, the real nitty gritty stuff that we like, man, because we like all kinds of weird stuff, like you like to hear feedback and somebody dropping their drumsticks, at the end of it.
Yes.
I don't know, like there's so many weird little things that humans do in music that I just don't.
You just couldn't replicate. I don't see that being replicated either, right? It's just like we were talking about earlier. How there just seems to be that some bands, you just got that special thing to them, the magic juice, if you would, and some people have more or less of it, but some bands just got a lot of it. And I don't think an AI is ever going to have the magic juice. I don't think that could happen, man. I don't see that with the whole AI thing, man. So, yeah, it's got to be real, man. The human element, That's
plus, how are they going to pull that off live? I mean.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now, let me ask you one more last question here, Zach. What would you like to change, man? If you could change anything in this industry, man, what would that be? What major difference would you like to see?
Oh, man. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a hard thing to say.
It is a hard thing,
because,
yeah.
It has its good things and it has its bad things.
Well, let's break it down a little closer just to your arena then, and such. What would you like to see change about where you're at with what you've done, and where do you want to go? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I can't really. I don't know. That's a hard thing to answer. I mean, I'm pretty I'm pretty satisfied and happy with being able to do. You know, honestly, it's a blessing just to be able to do what I do and make a living doing it. You know, like this is full time now. You know, it started out as a hobby, and this is my life now, and it's.
Well, I think it sounds to me like you've reached where you want to be. You know, I mean, you know, and that's where, you know, so many of us are trying to get to, man, is just to the point where, you know, we're making money in the business, we're doing what we love and doing what we're passionate about. And I can tell Zach, that's you, man. So, you know, I'm glad you've got it, man. That's fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Well, hey, Zach, do you have a shout out or anything else you'd like to add to the interview, man, here at the end?
Sure. What do you want me to say? You want me to make like a station ID for you?
Well, yeah, you can do that, but I mean, do you have anybody out there that you just want to say hi or special thanks to?
Everybody, man. Thank you to everybody. Everybody out there, all the magazines, all the labels, all the promoters, all the bands, all the people, all the podcasters, all the internet radio stations, all the FM radio stations, all the people like you, all the people on social media, everybody that has anything to do with any of this stuff, we love you and we appreciate you and we thank you.
Man, that's beautiful. Well, Zach, I really appreciate this interview, man. It was very insightful, man, you know, and so I know that the listeners that we have are going to enjoy it, and we look forward to talking with you in the future, man. Thanks again. We are an independent magazine that sponsors independent artists. So if you are in need of advertising, hook us up. Let us know. We'd love to have you on the website. This is a free-to-artist platform. It's never a charge. We solely survive on the either donations, or you can go to our swag shop and purchase all kinds of T-shirts. There's all kinds of different swag that's available from most of the bands that you hear on American Metal Magazine. We appreciate the support. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.